Good morning. Thank you for joining SmartXPD today for a Parkinson's Voice Project presentation of Speak Out. I'm Patrick Lasasso, president of SmartXPD and coordinator of our Parkinson's Life discussion group. This is a place where we come together to unite, strengthen, and share. If you enjoy SmartXPD, please consider making a contribution. You can find a button to do so on the YouTube channel banner, or there are payment options in your email notifications. We're recording today's presentation, so if you don't want to be seen, please turn off your video. That's perfectly fine. And make sure your microphone is muted so we have a nice quiet room, but make sure you know how to unmute your device if you have questions at the end. You can also enter your questions into the chat as we go, and I'll make sure to read them at the appropriate time. We'll email a link once this presentation is posted to the SmartXPD YouTube channel so that you can view it again and share it with your friends and groups. Today, we're so fortunate to have special guest Hilary Byatt. Hilary is the clinic director and speech language pathologist at Parkinson Voice Project. In her role as clinical director, Hilary ensures that their team addresses the speech and swallowing deficits that can occur with individuals with Parkinson's and other related movement disorders. Please give a warm SmartXPD welcome to Hilary Byatt.
Thank you. That's a lovely introduction. I have different options than I usually have, so I'm making sure I'm sharing appropriately. So happy to be here. And yes, please ask questions. I will answer them all at the end, and we can have chats or discussions as well. So Parkinson Voice Project is a nonprofit organization here in Richardson, Texas. We are just north of Dallas. We are set up here with the sole mission of helping people with Parkinson's regain and maintain their voice and mitigate any swallowing problems. So as a clinic here in Texas, we can serve anyone in the great state of Texas through teletherapy, which happened after the pandemic. And we also have trained over 5,000 speech pathologists all over the world, actually, who can also help folks learn how to speak out with intent. So I will show you at the end how to find a provider near you. So today, I wanted to really address 4 objectives. Let's talk about what is Parkinson's, the origin story. Most of you will know this, and we'll add the part that's relevant for speech therapy. We'll talk about what is intent and why is it important to regain and maintain your voice. Then we'll also talk about the details of what is speak out therapy. Finally, I want to share with y'all resources that we have at Parkinson Voice Project, all of which are offered at no charge whatsoever. We have relied on the pay it forward system since our founding and have never charged anyone for our services. So Dr. James Parkinson's, you have probably heard of this man. He was the first physician who actually called shaking palsy a thing. He had 2 of his own patients who were having some signs and symptoms of Parkinson's, as we now call it. But then he was in England, and he had noticed 4 other people walking around who had some of these signs and symptoms. So in 1817, he published his essay on the shaking palsy. That was the origin story of Parkinson's. Then Dr. Jean-Martin Charco came into the picture, and he built upon James Parkinson's work. He's also known as the father of neurology. He was a French neurologist. So he really helped the process in that he teased out Parkinson's from other movement neurological disorders. And he also refined the description. What he had noticed is that not all patients have a tremor. So we know that now, but isn't that also what people in the public who are not affected by Parkinson's always assume you have to have a tremor? Yes, everyone's heard. Yes, I see some head nods on my screen. Yes. And some folks don't. But anyway, he was the first to really recognize that you can have Parkinson's and not have the tremor. The really important part of his work is the part that we're going to focus on is that people with Parkinson's are not weak. Dun, da, da, underline, say that again. People with Parkinson's are not weak. It's not that Parkinson's is attacking the muscles. So what happens, and I'm going to, my screen, there we go. It's that muscles become weak because they're not used to their full capacity. So Parkinson's is not making the muscles weak. It's that the muscles, are not being used to their full capacity. So think about walking, writing, voice. Those are some areas we're going to talk about. So Parkinson's is characterized by reduced amplitude of movements. Everything gets smaller. So for instance, if you take teeny tiny steps over and over again, what is going to happen to your leg muscles? They're going to get weaker over and over. Smaller writing, if you keep writing smaller, your hand movements are not being challenged. And so they will stay smaller. Smaller voice, we're going to really talk about that, is that if your voice is not used, then the muscles that control your breathing and your phonation and your articulation also get weak. But Parkinson's is not attacking the muscles. The muscles are getting weak by lack of movement. That's the distinction. So, okay, what causes Parkinson's? So we know that neurons produce a chemical, a neurotransmitter called dopamine, die or they become impaired. So there is a lack of dopamine in the brain. And often, by the time that folks go to the neurologist and are diagnosed with Parkinson's, they may have lost up to 80% of their dopamine. 80%. So, what that means is people have had Parkinson's for years, sometimes decades, but those motor symptoms have not appeared until the point at which they go to the neurologist. Okay, so you don't have a lot of dopamine. What does that mean? Dopamine is that neurotransmitter, and it helps move the impulses from one neuron to the next, and it controls automatic movement. Without enough dopamine, automatic movements are not smooth and connected. I'm going to have us all read all of that together again. So I want you to read this sentence with me. It's a long one, but we can do it. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that transmits impulses from one neuron to the next for the planning and controlling of automatic muscle movements. That is the key. That helps you understand what's happening and why these automatic movements become so challenging. Without enough dopamine, these automatic movements are disrupted. They are not smooth, they are not coordinated. So let's talk about what are some automatic movements. You think about walking, talking, swallowing, swinging your arms when you're walking, getting out of a chair, picking up a fork. All these are things that we do automatically without conscious effort. And we're able to do them automatically through many years of practicing and repetitions. Think about walking. Think about a toddler. Someone has a new grandchild. Toddling, they're so cute when they're starting to walk. They're figuring it out. Walking gets easier, but at that point, it certainly is not automatic. But for us in pre-Parkinson's, for those of you who have it, walking was not something you had to think about. You didn't have to think about swinging your arms when you walk. It happened naturally without thinking. That was dopamine making that happen. Talking and swallowing, those are the focus of today's chat. So we'll focus on those two. Talking is something that we take for granted. We just talk. Swallowing as well. We don't think about swallowing, it just happens. But these are some things that without adequate dopamine, they get a lot harder. Thinking about automatic movements. Has this ever happened to anybody? I'm driving home from work. I'm thinking about the weekend and I need to run by the grocery store and pick up some raspberries, some lettuce, and some almond milk. Having some friends over, got up, planned everything. Next thing I know, I pull up in my driveway and I didn't go to the grocery store. Has that ever happened to anybody? So that is where the automatic system was working. I obviously know the way home and my brain let me get home, although I wasn't thinking about my driving. So that's how we can function automatically. Production of speech, talking, is a highly automatic behavior. It is so cool, I think, when I share this information. Our body, our brain, regulates how much breath we need to say whatever we're going to say. As you can see, I'm talking a lot. I'm saying some long sentences here. I don't have to say, Hilary, this is a long sentence. Take that deep breath to make sure you have adequate breath support. It just happens automatically. And at the same time, I don't have to think I'm going to pass my colleague in the hall and say, hi. That's all I'm going to say. I don't have to think, okay, Hilary, this is going to be short, so just take a tiny breath. All of that happens automatically. So that is how speech happens without us thinking about it. So if you don't have enough dopamine, you can see how it turns into a problem. And in fact, research shows that as many as 89% of people with Parkinson's will have a voice disorder. That's significant. Swallowing. In as many as 95% of people with Parkinson's will have a problem with swallowing. And it may surprise you to know that voice and swallowing are highly connected. Many of the same muscles involved in one are involved in the other. So early signs of a speech problem. These are some things you may have noticed in yourself if you have Parkinson's, or if you are a care partner or have somebody else in your family who has had it. Some of these signs are a reduced vocal volume. The voice gets quiet. A hoarse sounding vocal quality or breathy. That's that not having enough breath support at times. Frequent throat clearing, trying to clear the throat because it sounds raspy, but it won't clear. Trailing off at the end of the sentence, not having adequate breath support, and inconsistent production of the voice. I've had folks tell me, I just can't count on my voice. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not so great. It might change in the middle of a sentence. It might be good in the morning, bad in the afternoon. And isn't that part of the nature of Parkinson's, is that consistent fluctuations, but it's just something they feel like they can't count on. And also I would add with that, it's that monotone voice. The pitch up and down changes are not happening. That's because also the muscles controlling the vocal folds that control the pitch, the movement up and down, are not being stretched. And so there is less movement. Those muscles get weak and changing pitch becomes very challenging. I mentioned swallowing. Let's go ahead and talk about swallowing too. Early signs of a swallowing problem. These are things that you might have noticed. Drooling. And people with Parkinson's might feel like suddenly they have a lot of saliva in their mouth. Well, typically what's happening is the normal automatic behavior of swallowing your saliva that pre-Parkinson's, and now I don't think about, it just happens, is not happening automatically because of the lack of dopamine. Often people with Parkinson's may have that posture where they're tilting down somewhat, and so gravity is negatively impacting that as well. Often coughing during or soon after eating and drinking. So you might feel that after you swallowed something, or actually coughing right as you're eating and drinking, or even a few minutes afterwards. You may have a wet or gurgly sound post-swallow and as you're eating. That could be a sign of a swallowing problem, or pills getting stuck, feeling like they're there and you can't get them down. All of these are signs and symptoms of a swallowing problem that could be associated with Parkinson's. Okay, negative. Are you ready for some good news? Yes, I hope you are. Is that we are wonderfully made as humans. We have two motor systems. The first one I've been talking about is the extrapyramidal, or the automatic motor system. And then we have the backup system called the pyramidal. We call that the intentional motor systems. Let me show you these two pictures of a brain. Here we have the extrapyramidal system, automatic, and I want you to notice the green lines going down. Those are impulses traveling from the top of the brain to the bottom. On the extrapyramidal system, this is the system powered by dopamine. Dopamine is required to make these automatic movements happen in a smooth, connected, coordinated manner. If you notice the green lines coming down, they do encounter those cute little purple beans. Those are the substantia nigra, or dark substance. That is where dopamine hangs out. So the green lines go through there before they go down. The automatic system is kind of thought of as a windy country road. You have a drive in the country and you come to a stop, and then you turn right, and then you go left, and you meander down your way. That's kind of how the automatic system operates. Switch over now with me to the pyramidal system, the intentional system. Look at the blue lines and compare to the green lines. As you'll see, the blue lines bypass really the substantia nigra. So they go straight down, kind of like the 5 or the tollway here in Dallas. They go lickety-split. So they are not negatively impacted by the lack of dopamine. So that is the good news, is we all have an intentional system that we can activate to compensate for the deficits from Parkinson's. We can do things with intent, meaning we can do them on purpose. We can do them with effort. We can do them deliberately. And when we use intent, we're using this system that works perfectly well. And it doesn't matter that your dopamine has been depleted. Let me show you a beautiful video.
Started to do times and I think many efforts, many times to get somebody else to do it. The words are more concise. I sound like a human being.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
My wife has noticed it more than I, but apparently I've lost a lot of oomph in my voice.
Only as part of this process did I learn that I had relinquished control of my voice and relinquished a significant part of my life, which is being sociable and social, and now I think I'm back in charge. I'm on my way to being back in charge.
It's much softer and more difficult to speak. I speak louder, clearer, and with intent.
There we go. So could you tell the difference in the mouth movements and the use of intent? And again,
It was very, very clear. This was,
okay.
just to clarify, was this pre-DBS, post-DBS, or
So
as
these
well?
were actually, those 4 were actually in that sample after DBS.
Okay, and the videos were pre-DBS, right?
No, they were
Oh, they weren't.
all post. Speech can
Oh,
be affected after DBS, as we know. So these were just after. So the before and after were both after they had DBS.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Here we go. I have other examples I can show you, but those are helpful to see what it is. And so, yeah, and you can speak with intent right now. I'm going to have you do so, but we're going to talk about that. But that power of knowing that it is within your control. So let's keep going here. Some examples of using intent. Some say, well, what is intent? So you have all used intent all of your life. Some examples we can talk about, thinking back to that first job interview, or you may have a child or a grandchild who had their first interview and you coached them, told them to sit up straight, make good eye contact, speak clearly, don't use slang or say like or you know or all the time. So you're being intentional with how you speak. Driving down the freeway when it's raining. The opposite of my example of driving home in that perfect day, forgetting to hit the grocery store, versus driving down the freeway and all of a sudden it starts downpouring. You turn off the radio, hands at 10 and 2, kids be quiet in the back, and you focus. So that's how driving can turn from something automatic to something intentional. Exercising. When you're lifting weights and you're thinking about exactly the movements, you're using intent. Basketball. I'm reminded of the NBA playing. Sorry, Laker fans. But when LeBron is dribbling down the court, is he using intent, you think, or is that dribbling for him completely automatic? I'm going to weigh in to say automatic, right? He has done that so many times. Now, if I had to dribble down a court, oh my gosh, right? I would have to use intent and I would be horrible at it. Basketball, baseball, tennis, all these kind of sports, you've had to practice how to use the exact movements. Now, after years and years of practice, some of that turns into automatic. But the process of learning it, you're absolutely using intent. And yes, the last example, giving this presentation, me thinking about what I'm saying to make sure I am conveying all the messages I want to. I am using intent. So speak out. Speak out is our speech therapy protocol developed by our founder, Samantha Ellen Derry, and it teaches folks with Parkinson's to use intent instead of relying on automatic speech production. So when we speak with intent, we use a system, that intentional system, that is less dependent on dopamine. So let me kind of highlight what speak out looks like. We used to do pre-pandemic, we used to do all of our visits in this clinic, and we would do 3 times a week for 4 weeks for patients. All that changed, and we were able to pivot and do everything through telehealth, and it's worked out wonderfully. It is simple, and patients have participated exceedingly well. And so we have found that we can be even more efficient, and we're typically seeing folks 8 to 10 individual sessions. We'll do that evaluation first, And if speak out therapy is recommended, and it almost always is, we can help almost everyone. And then we are scheduling folks twice a week for 4 weeks. And then we pause for 4 weeks to make sure everything, their home exercise program and their group involvement, we'll talk about that, is well integrated. And then we come back for that final visit to make sure all is going well. Sessions are 30 minutes long, and during the time of individual treatment, we have folks practice twice a day. You have the option of using our workbooks, which we provide to everyone who wants one in the country free of charge. They guide the speech pathologist and the patient on the exercises. And then we also have, with the pandemic, I choose to find silver linings. Of course, that was horrible, but some good things came out of it that really helps. Telehealth, teletherapy is one of those. So now we have our founder, Samantha, does online Parkinson's speech exercises that she leads folks Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Central, but they're recorded, and so you can watch them whenever. And I'll show you an example of that in a minute. And we also teach people to speak with intent at all times. We very much involve families, care partners in the process. That's essential. You have to have people on your team who are helping you. So after someone has completed individual treatment with Speak Out, success is maintained through a diligence of practice. We teach that one should exercise their voice 10 to 15 minutes a day. Again, we have that workbook and the online support. Then we found that in order to maximize the carryover of these newly taught skills, being involved in a speech or a singing group is highly important and fun too. And we remind every time you speak to speak with intent. And then our program, we follow up with the speech pathologist every 3 to 6 months. It's like that checkup with your dentist, the checkup with the cardiologist. We are checking up with the patients to make sure they're able to maintain all the good progress they made to maintain their voice and swallowing. Our groups are led by speech language pathologists. They provide peer support and encouragement. I just had one of my groups yesterday, and it was so fun because 2 of the gentlemen, when they're not using intent, their speech is very rapid. And so we were doing some reading exercises, and I had each one assess the other, and they both caught each other going a bit fast, not using intent, and they were able to encourage them, and then both of them improved from their peer cue. So it was great. And it's, if you're having to be in a group, it really helps provide accountability so that you're using intent. And we do have a lot of fun. We also have the opportunity on teaching on aspects of Parkinson's, things out there that we learn. So this is kind of the summary of all of that I just said. This is on our website, and I'll show you all that in just a minute, but it's parkinsonvoiceproject.org. So this is our circle of intent. And so the evaluation we talked about, 2 then is that workbook. We also have an e-library that we can share with patients for other activities they can do for their practicing. We have the Learn About Parkinson's webinar. Our founder hosts that once a month, and it's really a deep dive into all things Parkinson's, the role of dopamine in speak out therapy. Then we have that individual speech therapy. Then we transition to our weekly speech and singing groups. I will let y'all know right now that we have an online singing group. We started this at the first of the year, and it's such fun. It's on Thursdays, and it's at 10:30 Central. And we sing with intent. I'll show you on the website. You can click on it. We have themes, and for the next couple of weeks, we are doing folk music. Think about some Bob Dylan, Blowing in the Wind. I heard them practicing today, and I heard some Bad Leroy Brown. Just really fun music that you know, and we sing with intent. Then we have that refresher every 3 to 6 months. And then based on how the person with Parkinson's is doing, we can plug into any part of this if we need to. But you see that circle all the way around. Daily speak out home practice. That is the key. We have learned that practicing is what has to happen. Parkinson's does not stop. Y'all have to fight it every day. So we have to keep up the practicing so that you can live well with Parkinson's, because that's the key. And for folks who commit to that practice every day, and again, we're saying 10 to 15, 20 minutes a day, it will help you maintain that voice and minimize any swallowing problems. I heard Joe Rogan the other day talking about motivation versus discipline. Dopamine and lack thereof, we know, negatively impacts one's motivation. So for some folks, it's a struggle to be motivated to exercise. But I'm going to say that's a human condition. Many folks are not excited about exercise. So even if you're motivated to exercise, if you don't have the discipline to exercise, it's not going to work. And Joe Rogan, for those of you who know who he is a fit machine. He's always been an MMA martial artist. He's been trained ever since he was young, and he works out hard, I do believe, every day. And he just shared that sometimes he wakes up and he doesn't feel like doing it, but he's developed that habit or the discipline of doing it. And so that gets him through it. So we teach about that, the power of habit and discipline in creating the habit to practice every day. So I thought it'd be fun if we did some of the exercises. Well, actually, all of the exercises. There are 6 exercises in Speak Out that we teach, and they build on each other. So this is a tiny snippet, but you have to participate with me. Are you ready? Okay. So our first exercise is the warm-up exercise, and this is how it goes. May, me, my, mo, moo. I'm going to put my screen on so I can see as many of y'all as I can. There we go. Okay. So now I want you to do it with me. And we're making these sounds in a smooth, coordinated way with intent. Are you ready? Let's go. May, me, my, mo, moo. I can see mouth movement very well. Thank y'all for that effort. So this is the first exercise. And we do reps of it, obviously, but I'm just going through it so you have a sample of what you can expect. Our second exercise is the ah. We hold it for about 8 to 10 seconds, and we always say strength over length. It's not important to hold it more than 10 seconds. So I'm going to cue you. It's going to go like this. Ah. Are you ready? All together. Ah. Nicely done. That's the second exercise. Our third one is the glide.
Should we ask them to take their mute off? And so
I would love it. Patrick,
yeah,
yes,
George,
yes. Do it.
George just got his mute off. You guys, if you want to participate and you feel able to, take your mute off. Let's make some noise together.
I love it.
Just check your room, making sure you don't have any news on or children squealing or birds chirping. I know Vince has got his parrot. Or parakeet.
That's funny. I almost want to hear that parakeet. Okay. Exercise 3 is the glide. This one is a really important one to practice the pitch change and to remind yourself that you're in control of your voice. You have to control it. And this is where the expression comes from. Oh no, Romeo threw up in the bed. That's my dog. To have that expression in your voice, right? That's why we practice on this one. So on this one, we say ah, and we glide up, we stop, and then we come down. So it sounds like this. Ah,
Didn't do it.
I love it. Okay, everyone all together. Let's go. Y'all are doing great. Now, I also say in practicing, you would have to have your water. You would have to take a sip. Hydration is very important for that voice. Fourth exercise is counting. This gets more challenging as we add more numbers. We do each of the rows in a connected way, pausing at the end. I'll do the first one and then we'll do them all together. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. Join me. 7, 8, 9. Yes. 10, 11, 12. Yay. Fifth exercise is reading. Reading is so important because it's that bridge to conversation. It's like a script, right? It's practicing using intent with words that help you prepare for conversation. So we're going to say each of these with intent. Let me show you a couple. Hello. How are you? So I'm not sounding like a robot. It's not how are you, but it's how are you? Each word on purpose with intent. So say them with me. Hello. How
are you?
I am
doing
feeling
fine.
Let me
tell
you about
my grandchildren.
I am
speaking with
Intent.
Say that one again. I want to hear that one.
I am
speaking
with
intent.
Oh, that is beautiful music. I love it. Okay, exercise 6 is the cognitive exercise. So we're practicing cognition every day. Some folks may have some challenges with this, so we want to practice. We have all different cognitive exercises embedded in these exercises. And again, it's that segue to conversation. So I'm going to pick on some of you. So this exercise is with intent. Tell me at least 5 of each of the categories. Paul, I see you up there. Can you tell me some fruits with intent?
Patrick.
Good.
Oh,
Let's
jokes.
keep going. I know, I'm just moving on. How about some other fruits you might find in the grocery store? In the produce section.
Bananas.
Bananas, great.
Oranges.
Grapes.
Grapes. What color? Green or purple?
Oh, purple when I'm drinking, green when I'm eating.
Okay.
With intent.
With intent, thank you. And one more fruit.
Mangoes.
Mangoes, I love it. Okay. Roxanne, I'm going to ask you now to give me 3 vegetables with intent.
Lettuce, carrots, tomatoes.
Tomatoes. What was the one in the middle?
Carrots.
Carrots. Very nice. And now for states, I am going to Donna. Let me hear 3 states with intent.
Massachusetts, California, Colorado.
That sounds great. Yeah, y'all are doing super. I love it. Okay, so that is a mini intro into what these exercises are. And the goal of all of this is to transition speech from an automatic movement to an intentional act. So that's what we're working on in teaching each of these exercises. And they, again, increase in challenging, in difficulty. That's a better way of saying that. And you keep using intent more and more. Okay, let me now show you some of our resources. I just am so excited about all of this, so I want y'all to participate. Samantha Ellen Derry here is our CEO and founder. As I said, she is doing exercises every day, Monday through Friday. We have over 2,500 participants with her every day. So has anyone already been online and been involved in her exercises?
I have.
Oh,
I have.
We've got a bunch of folks that know you guys.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I love it. And can some of y'all give me some feedback on what you thought?
Well, I wished I had a choir. Like,
You wished you had a choir?
yes,
What does that mean? Explain that.
I wish there were a Parkinson's choir close to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've had that. So we have had a virtual choir before, but you have, if you're a singer, you have to join us on Thursdays, tomorrow at 10:30 and sing along with us.
Okay.
There we go. I'll be looking for all these faces because I'll be on there too. So let me take you on a walk to our website and show you how to access all these wonderful things. So this could be, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Yep. So this is our website, ParkinsonVoiceProject.org. Scroll down about halfway and you'll see Samantha here with that may, me, my, mo, moo. This is where you click to join her for the daily exercise. Now, again, I said it's at 10 o'clock Central, and that's too early for you. If you want to practice at a different time, look, they're all stacked up here. As soon as they're done, they put them up. And so you can watch, and I shouldn't say watch. I don't like to say that. I want you to participate with Samantha on the exercises. And if you look here, 18 times 4. So you have a lot of exercises you can do with her. They're all available there. Going back to the homepage, that singing with intent we talked about Thursdays. 10:30, join us on Zoom. Just click right there and you'll sing along with us every Thursday. And then I just wanted to show you one more thing. Our program, Testimonials. So let me show you. In fact, I'm going to show you Gay, and I saw her here today because on Wednesdays we have in-person singing. So we had over 30 people with Parkinson's singing. It was fabulous. And I told her I was going to brag on her, and she said to tell y'all hi. So this is Gay before and after, and then years later, how she is now. Because that's the power of intent, is that you can keep getting better through Speak Out.
Have you noticed a change in your voice or speech?
Yes.
Tell me what you've noticed.
Well, it varies. Sometimes it's kind of hoarse and raspy. Sometimes I have trouble putting words together, and sometimes I can't project.
Okay.
So those would be the major ones. Rainbow passage. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors. Well, generally, I think people with Parkinson's don't know that they have such power over their own destiny. They have power over their own voice and speaking with intent and living with intent, and it just makes such a difference. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors. I think it has improved enormously, and I am very aware of speaking with intent.
Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is how to find a provider. As I said, oh, wait a minute.
What's his name? Golf cart guy.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry.
You know his name? I've got his number and everything.
Okay, there we go. I thought it was on the video, but it's somewhere out there. Okay, good. So what we highly recommend is that everyone work with the speech language pathologist to get you started. And so, as I said, we have trained over 5,000. So in order to find one who is trained in our protocol, you can go on our website. And if you look under our program, drop down, find a speak out provider. You can select a state. I'm going to pick California, and then find a provider. The ones who offer teletherapy, you will see that at the top in green. So you have a list here with access. You can call them directly. Should you have any problems or have difficulty finding someone, please call us up here at the clinic. Our number is right up here, that 469 number. So in summary, Parkinson's is a disorder due to lack of dopamine. We can work around that. Using the intentional system lets you compensate. Using intent lets you regain and maintain your voice and minimize swallowing problems. So please join us with Samantha. Please join us with a sing-along and find a provider. And if we can be of service to anyone, please call us up here. Any questions?
Well, that was fabulous, and I want to just go ahead and give you a testimonial. I have had I've got a friend who serves on our nonprofit board, which is different than this group here, PCLA, Parkinson's Community Los Angeles, and she's an incredible speech pathologist, and she recently, I actually don't know what recently, she's been using it for a while, got certified in Speak Out. And I have referred her to a couple of my clients. And one of them in particular, Charlie, was struggling with soft voice. And I remember it was like almost overnight the change. I was like, whoa. But every once in a while, he would kind of go back to his normal self. So I asked Julia, I said, what is my prompt? What's my verbal prompt? She said, oh, tell him to speak with intent. And so like we'll be working and he'll fade into it and I'll just say intent, Charlie, intent. And it's like a switch. And it's not just Charlie. I've seen it in action with multiple clients. And, I've been using, when I heard about the program and the foundation of it, I was like, this is kind of what I've been using for years, moving with understanding, specificity and intent. Yes. And it's like, and what I actually think that working on your voice has a real relevant and immediate translation into your movement as well. The stuff is really applicable. So I'd encourage all of you that have, slight interest in this, even if you're not experiencing any voice issues now, to start early, to get involved. And I really recommend the Speak Out program based on firsthand experience. It's great. So thank you, Hilary, first of all, for joining us today. And let's toss it out to the crew here. You guys, we got a couple of chats. Let me check that out. Familiarize yourself with mute and unmute. Okay, is Samantha still doing her daily Facebook exercise sessions? Yes, has been answered already.
Yes, that's what it is. So you can access those exercises as I showed you on the website or on Facebook. So it's the same. Yes. So yes, she's been doing those Monday through Friday for 3 years now.
Great. And other questions?
I have one.
Okay, who's that?
This is
Anne. Anne, go. Anne, you can't see her. She's sitting down with, I think, probably Joe, her husband. Anne, go ahead. We can hear you. Go.
do we have to have a speech pathologist involved? Is that necessary?
Yes, I would say it's highly necessary to make sure that you're doing the exercises correctly. That's the main reason.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's to put you on that path towards using intent, and then it's that it's the partner with you to help you maintain it through your journey with Parkinson's.
Yeah. Let me also say it's worth the trouble to seek the person out. There may be things that they notice that go beyond just the speech as well. And
Absolutely.
and your neurologist, if they're MDS, will tell you in terms. I talk about your medical team. A speech pathologist needs to be on there. You know, we talked about the podiatrist, the pain specialist, of course, the movement disorder specialist, fellowship trained movement disorder neurologist. Build out your support team, and speech pathologist has got to be on there. Okay, we're going to go to Carol and then Ruth. Go ahead.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much. It was fabulous. I've done Samantha's exercises and stuff, but I have one. You basically touched on it, but should this be used as a preventative measure or once you lose your voice ability?
Oh, I'm so happy you brought that up. Preventative is very important because what's happening is that we're teaching you the habit, which develops that discipline of practicing every day. It just because you have Parkinson's doesn't mean you have to lose your voice or your speech, right? So we can start on the front end and build up that vocal reserve. So highly, highly, highly recommend starting early. Great question.
So, yeah,
if I don't
let
need
me.
a speech pathologist yet, how do I get into the Speak Out program?
So yeah, go on the website. If you'll look at that place, find a provider, click on it, put in your state, and it will show the therapist. We have therapists trained in every state. And in every state, there is, I believe, so let me say this, I think there is a provider who does teletherapy so that you can be seen. But again, if you have any problems, call us up here at the clinic.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to that point, everyone, there's been a huge push, and they actually have some advances very recently on early diagnosis. And the reason that's so important is for what they call early intervention. You want to jump on this stuff before it starts becoming an issue. And it can be fun. It's not all, I mean, if you come to my exercise classes, you know, we have fun together. We do stuff that helps, but fun is the primary, one of the primary objectives, I think, in their program as well.
Totally.
So yeah, early intervention. Don't wait till something happens to start working on it.
Amen. That's awesome.
And Victor, I've got your question. We're going to go to Ruth. I'm going to ask Victor's question, then BJ, I got you. So Ruth, go ahead.
So to be clear, if we want to join your program, we would go to the site parkinsonsvoiceproject.org.
So that's where you can access all of our services without a charge. Samantha's online speech exercises are without a charge. The online sing-along is free for everybody. We do recommend you work with a speech pathologist as well who's been trained by our protocol. And so those you can access on there too.
That's what you mean by a provider.
Yes, a speech language pathologist who's been trained by us on the Speak Out protocol.
Is this, you mentioned the word free. I mean, it really doesn't jive with what I'm used to hearing, is everything costs.
Well, and that's where, so we have the great luxury of being able to provide speech therapy to anyone in Texas who needs it forever and ever, amen, due to the generosity of our donors. Samantha, our founder, had a vision that everyone in America could have that same service. To that end, this year, she has launched her campaign to reach America. And if you go on our website, you'll see on April 12th, we had that announcement. So we had applicants. So her goal is to have a therapy and research center in every state embedded in a university. So this is the first year she accepted 16 applications. So in 16 states now in the country, this just started in April, those places will be able to treat people with Parkinson's without charge. So
California, one of them?
I have to look and I'll tell you, but look on the website and it will show you. I should have those memorized. I apologize. But that's where, so if you're going through them, there is no charge, but otherwise it's through insurance or Medicare, whoever your provider is using for you. But we are pleased that we are able to condense our frequency, because that means if you are going through insurance or Medicare, less visits are needed. And then everything after that, you can maintain with Samantha's online exercises without a charge.
Okay, so let me jump in here. Do you like the breather coach respiratory trainer for helping with speech?
So I have seen folks use that and have success. I personally have not worked with it with any of my patients. I would never want anyone doing that in lieu of doing the speak out exercises.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, and I've actually used it with a couple of clients, and they report back that it seems to help. BJ, we got time for one more. BJ,
I just wanted to put a shout out for the program. I did the program before COVID, and I had a speech pathologist for about 3 or 4 weeks. It was actually a little shorter than what it needed to be. And then I went through what we call them was the loud crowd.
Yes.
Afterwards, and we met as a group of 8 to 10, and we did that. We met for I think it was almost 2 years. So COVID sort of did us in. And then since then, we actually got together, a subset of that got together and just kept doing the exercises with ourselves for quite a while. It really works. And if you have the right people in the loud crowd that meets every week, I mean, we did that on Zoom for a while, and then we sort of met in people's houses where we were comfortable, nobody was exposed. It is fun, but I think it also is very beneficial. People were complaining they couldn't hear me, they couldn't understand me, and I think most of them do.
You sound great. Thank you so much. I love it.
It's well worth it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Hilary, for this inspiring presentation. And thank you, everyone in the SmartXPD community who have joined us today. Remember, once this presentation is uploaded, we'll be sending out a shareable link. And I'll reach out to Hilary. So in the description, she has all of the content, information to get in touch with the Parkinson Voice Project as well. If you enjoy these presentations, please consider making a contribution so that we continue to find easy options to do so in your emails. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you're signed in, you'll find a thanks button to contribute as well. Thank you again, Hilary, so much. And thank you, everyone.
It was my pleasure. Everyone, speak with intent.
Speak with intent.
Bye, y'all.